وبارك على نبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وبعد. يروي الشيخان فيما اتفقا عليه من حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. The hadith tonight, collection of both Bukhari and Muslim, raised by Abu Hurairah. And I'll probably go this week and next week on issues of marriage, and then I'll move on, or maybe just this week. I don't know, I can't remember. But we'll be ending this soon enough, inshallah, for all of you. But there's a few more hadith that I think are interesting and important for those who are looking to get married or those who are married, and worthy of contemplation and some degree of reflection. And this is a famous hadith, but I want to make sure that everyone understands exactly what it means. So this is what he said, عليه الصلاة والسلام. قال واستوصوا بالنساء فإن المرأة خلقت من ضلع وإن أعوج شيء في الضلع أعلاه فإن ذهبت تقيمه كسرته وإن تركته لم يزل أعوجا فاستوصوا بالنساء خيرا. I honestly feel that this is probably one of the most profound things he ever said, عليه الصلاة والسلام, in his life. And everything he said was very profound, but this was just amazing. So he's saying, عليه الصلاة والسلام, استوصوا بالنساء, meaning I'm offering you my final pieces of advice, or I'm asking you to be the best you can be with your wives, or with the women in your life, بالنساء. Then he explains, عليه الصلاة والسلام, المرأة خلقت من ضلع. ضلع is a rib, that women are created from ribs. Now, this is figuratively. This is figurative. This is not biological. Okay, this is not biological. This is not what he's talking about. If that's what you choose to understand, then there's no point of this hadith. Like if you decide that this is biological. They were created from a rib. You come from a fetus, when they come from rib. If that's what you're going to decide to do, first of all, you cannot argue that scientifically at all. And it takes away whatever this hadith is trying to explain. This hadith is giving you an abstract concept, and it's doing it through a figurative understanding. That Hawa came from Adam alayhi salam's rib. This is this is talking about, is that what ribs do is that they protect the chest, they protect the heart, they protect the most important vital organs that you have. And that's the idea behind this this concept. But what he says, عليه الصلاة والسلام, أعوج ما في الضلع أعلاه. The most أعوج, the thing that is least consistent within the ضلع is the head of it, the top of it, where it's it has a curvature to it. So if you go and you try to change the rib by taking that curvature away and making it straight, you'll break it. And if you leave it, it'll forever stay curved. And this is very simple. You see, when you get married or working with, you'll find that the women in your life are way more emotional than you are. And they care about things that you don't necessarily care about way more than you do. And it will bother you as a man, whether it's your daughter, or it's your mother, or it's your spouse, or it's going to bother you. Now the thing is, that thing that you find bothersome is what allows them to take care, it is what allows them to produce life and nurture life. If doing that piece was up to you, there would be no life. If Adam alayhi salam was responsible for that piece, this story would have ended way earlier than where it is right now. But it's because that they have that ability. Imagine what it takes to basically have life inside you, grow off your own blood, off the nutrition that you carry, the nutrients in your blood, and then you produce it from your body, and then it continues to take its nutrition from you, and you're going to spend with this living thing, 22 to 23 hours a day. Yeah. How long do you spend with your kids? Huh? How long do you spend with your kids? 15 minutes, and then take him away. Unless you want to see him flying through the window, take him away. If you want to enjoy it, take him away. A man's sabr, especially when they're young, is very limited. It gets a little bit better as you go older. As you go older, it gets a little bit better. But what allows a lady to take care of this life that's being produced, and to put up with it, and to love it the way it needs to be loved, because these small creatures, they need an excessive amount of attention and love ongoingly. What allows you to do that is the same thing that you seem to have a problem with. It's the same aspect of her character that you don't like. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's either this or that. Either she's going to be a woman, and there's going to be aspects of her character that you don't necessarily agree with. If you're going to try and change it, you'll break her. You'll break what makes her, that's her femininity. You want to break that? You want to break that? You can't. If you break that, then what's left? How are you going to? There's no life. There's no marriage. There's no family. Forget about the kids. You actually think you're that awesome that someone can put up with you all life? Yeah, you think that much of yourself? Look at yourself in the mirror when you go home. And imagine this person that's putting up with you for 40 years. You think that's, they should be thankful for that. This is not a good package. The fact that they put up with this is actually because of that same thing that you don't like. But that's why they put up with you. That's why they stay in our homes and they take care of our children and they take care of us and they put up. It's the same part that you don't like. But either you accept it or you try and change it. You try and change it, you break them. You take away their femininity. And then the house and the children all collapses. Or you leave it, ظل أعوجا. It'll stay with that curvature, with that difference that you don't necessarily agree with. So as a man, you have to understand the way your wife is. That is, without that, there would be no life. There would be no children. There would be no continuity of marriage. None of this would have worked. It's because of the things that you don't necessarily understand or agree with. But that's what allows this to work. So leave it. عليه is telling you, look, there's no point. She is there to protect your heart. She's the protection. There's this curvature, this little aspect of her character you don't agree with. You want to go and try and change it? Go. ذهبت تقيمه كسرته. He'll break it. Yeah? So you won't get what you want. Or you leave it. If you leave it, it's not going to fix it. It's going to stay the same. لم يزل أعوجا فاستوصوا بالنساء خيرا. So just be patient and be loving and take care of the women in your life and accept them for what they are, because if they weren't the way they are, you wouldn't be here. If my mother was not, I wouldn't be sitting here. My father would have buried me somewhere in the backyard many years ago. Yeah. And this is the reality of life. And I find this wisdom in what he's saying, alayhi salatu wasalam, is honestly way beyond what I think even what the people at that time understood. I think now we understand it way more as we have more clarity on the psychological difference between men and women and how we see problems and how we argue problems, how we look at solutions, how we think about life in general. There are differences between how we process things. In marriage, you're not there. Neither of the spouses are you don't try to change the other person. You try to change what they are. This works the opposite way, by the way. If you're trying to change a man, and from what a man is, then you don't have a man at the end. You want to change a man, you don't have a man. You don't have a protector or provider or someone you can depend upon or someone who actually will come through when you need you can change a man from what he is, but then you don't get what you want. The same thing. You want to change her? No, don't change her. Let her be the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created her. With the stuff that you like and the stuff that you don't necessarily. Stuff that you agree with and you don't. You just let it, because that's why this whole thing works. If you try to, and we've been doing that here. In this time of life, we decide that we're going to change one another. We're going to change men and change women. Well, let's see how that's going to work. They tried that before, it didn't work. Other people tried that before, it completely failed. And families died off, and relationships were miserable, and people weren't happy anymore. And he tells us, عليه الصلاة والسلام, this one piece. And he's talking to men specifically. واستوصوا بالنساء. Just take care of them. Do your job with them. And don't go around trying to change them. The reason that you're here is because they are the way they are. I just find that to be fascinating. يروي الإمام بخاري والإمام مسلم كل في صحيح عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم واستوصوا بالنساء فإن المرأة خلقت من ضلع وإن أعوج شيء في الضلع أعلاه فإن ذهبت تقيمه كسرته وإن تركته لم يزل أعوجا فاستوصوا بالنساء خيرا. صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.